In today's show, after years of doubts and concerns, it's finally Bitcoin's time to shine. That's right, Bitcoin leads the way as investors seek adaptable hedging alternatives in the search for the new digital gold. And quoting U.S. Senate candidate Brian Solston, it's time to remove capital gains tax on all Bitcoin transactions. And as VJ shares here, the top is about to blow. And I'll also be sharing the latest from on-chain analyst Willy Woo, who points out here the market has fully reset in terms of market pricing versus on-chain demand coming from hodlers. Also in today's show, love it or hate it, crypto's vibe shift is now imminent. I'll be breaking down for you the cryptonomics of war. And as Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin shares here, reminder, Ethereum is neutral, but I am not. Also in today's show, Keiser and Mexican billionaire Ricardo Salinas visit El Salvador Bitcoin Mine with helicopter. As you can see here in this video, a view above El Salvador's volcano Bitcoin mining operation. And quoting Keiser here, during our flight, Ricardo Salinas outlined dozens of ways El Salvador's new Bitcoin security laws working through the assembly now can be used to make a global financial hub and dramatically expand GDP. His facility with business and finance is incredible. Hashtag awestruck. Also in today's show, ProShares ETF's Bitcoin stash hits $1.27 billion as Bitcoin eyes $50,000 by mid-April. That's right, the growth seen in the ProShares Bitcoin ETF to a new all-time high of 28,000 BTC is proof that the clamor for a Bitcoin-linked ETF product is backed by an active demand. These positive price trend activities have impacted Bitcoin thus far, and a sustained accumulation or investment from both retail and institutional investors is poised to push the coin to form strong support above $50,000 towards mid-April. I'll be breaking this down for you. We'll also be taking a look at the overall crypto market. All this, plus so much more, in today's show. Here at Crypto News Alerts, I drop a brand new episode every single day. The goal is to get to 100,000 subs, along with a $100,000 Bitcoin price. If you like getting that crypto, be sure to smash that subscribe button and ring that bell to turn on all notifications to receive daily premium crypto news alerts every single day, including weekends when the sun is in my eyes, just like this. Today's episode is brought to you by FTX US, built by traders for traders. That's right, FTX US is the best way to buy and sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, as well as other digital assets. And did you know you can trade crypto with up to 85% lower fees than its top competitors? That's right, there are no fixed minimum fees, no ACH transaction fees, and no withdrawal fees. Also note that FTX is the only leading exchange that supports both Ethereum and Solana NFTs, and there are no gas fees. And you might have heard of them from their Super Bowl commercial with Larry David or their partnership with Stephen Curry and Tom Brady. That's because the world's biggest names trust FTX, and they have a special promo they're running right now where if you download the FTX app today and use my promo code Crypto News, you can earn free crypto on every trade over $10, truly making this a no-brainer. And the more you trade, the more you earn. So go ahead and download the FTX app today by clicking the link in the description right down below. Use my referral code Crypto News, and let's start stacking those sats, shall we? All right, welcome back to another episode of Crypto News Alerts. I'm your host, JV, broadcasting live from the beaches of Puerto Rico. And yeah, it's sunrise right now, so the sun is in my eyes. Please ignore that. Gold has served as a store of value for thousands of years, as we all know. And due to this, investors have widely used it as a hedging tool against the effects of recessions and inflation, often caused by geopolitical tensions. And in the light of the recent events, such as the pandemic and more recently, the military crisis between Russia and the Ukraine, many investors have sought alternatives to gold and other precious metals as hedging options. And as we approach a digitized age, it is a prerequisite that alternatives to gold are equipped to deal with the future. And in this search for a contender to challenge gold's dominance, Bitcoin has shined the brightest because it's the first open monetary network with a hard cap, limited supply. They cannot print more or manipulate it, ultimately meaning it is incorruptible. Now, a spike in the price of gold is usually an indicator of anxiety within traditional equity markets, with the current consensus among investors being that gold is currently overbought. The price of gold has reached up to $2,000 an ounce as investors weigh up the geopolitical and economic ramifications of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And right here you can see the gold price chart. Now, during that same period, on the other hand, we have Bitcoin, the king crypto, as well as other cryptocurrencies, which have increased capital funding. Research firm Fundstrat says venture capital buyers invested approximately $4 billion into the crypto space during the last 3 weeks of February 2022, and an additional $400 million was poured into startups within the crypto space in the first week of March of 2022. This increase in funding suggests that global investors are seeking more exposure to a space that they believe could withstand the consequences of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. That's right. If you need a hedge against the US dollar, what better asset class to put it in than Bitcoin? Now, the ongoing conflict has seen both populations suffer economically. The military activity within the Ukraine has led many businesses to close, which naturally has hurt the local economy. Russia has been subject to economic sanctions that had been restrictions to bank accounts, loss of access to most forms of electronic payments, and the devaluation of their local currency, the ruble. And due to the decentralized nature of Bitcoin, there is still no uniform international laws to regulate the cryptocurrency, ultimately meaning that Bitcoin maintains value regardless of the hodler's location. Bitcoin is legal in most countries, with some even declaring it as legal tender, which we all know, in El Salvador. And checking out this map, it shows you the crypto regulation as of 2021, green representing mostly legal, yellow representing some significant concerns, and red signifying mostly illegal. And as you can see, there's not much red on this map. Now, crisis leading to the displacement of individuals has shown the potential impact Bitcoin could have on the future. Bitcoin doesn't require the enormous amount of effort needed to transport gold. An individual wouldn't have to declare their Bitcoin while crossing international borders and take the risk of confiscation or theft associated with the transportation of physical gold. Bitcoin's potential utility in times of need increases its attractiveness to traditional investors. This attraction has also grown thanks in part to the recent drop in the value of the Bitcoin price. A key advantage held by Bitcoin over other cryptos is mainstream awareness, as it has been around long enough that it has gained support and recognition, and in that time has even shown some trends, which ultimately means it has been stable in the face of crisis. During the first half of March 2020, investors quickly noticed that Bitcoin managed to maintain its value while traditional stock values crumbled around it. This increased the amount of capital poured into the cryptocurrency, eventually leading them to an all-time high of around 60,000 in March of 2021. The stability shown by Bitcoin during that particular crisis has increased its attractiveness as a hedge and option for those skeptical of gold's future viability. There's no comparison whatsoever. Gold bugs truly trip me out. I feel sorry for Peter Schiff. Now, despite the recent explosion within the crypto sector, crypto markets remain in the shadow of traditional market investments in terms of valuations. Through mainstream exposure to the potential of Bitcoin, we've seen closing of this gap at a much faster rate than initially predicted. Investors have always sought the most up-to-date and viable options for their portfolios, and with the advantage that Bitcoin holds over gold and the certainty of a digitized future, many investors are looking to diversify their portfolios, and Bitcoin looks to be the best option, which it obviously is. Now, the gold market cap is currently sitting just above $12 trillion, and the current Bitcoin market cap is under $1 trillion. Once there is a flippening, expect a $500,000 plus Bitcoin price, as Kathy Wood from ARK Invest has been predicting. And checking out the latest from on-chain analyst Willy Woo, he tweeted, macro headwinds versus the Bitcoin fundamentals. Number one, on-chain demand keeps climbing. Number two, futures demand returns for the first time since November. Number three, capitulation has signaled. Number four, the market has fully reset. Number five, accumulation has already happened. Probably a decoupling will continue. Check it out. Risk on, risk off correlations to equities is a short-term effect. Bitcoin trades this correlation due to the short-term speculators. Bitcoin's internal demand fundamentals, powered by its adoption curve, is more powerful. Eventually, the market decouples. The last time was October 2020. Number one, on-chain demand keeps climbing. Number two, futures demand coming in strong for the first time since November. Number three, capitulation has signaled. And number four, the market has fully reset in terms of market pricing versus on-chain demand coming from hodlers. And number five, accumulation has already happened. So there you have it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the on-chain analysts. And before I break down next story of the day, love it or hate it, the crypto's vibe shift is now imminent. But first, let's take a quick look at the overall crypto market. As you can see, all the major cryptos are currently correcting, barely in the red. Bitcoin down 0.5%, but maintaining above 44,300. We have Ether down 1.5%, trading just above 3,100. As Solana, Polkadot, Avalanche, Binance Coin, and Luna all correcting as well and in the red. But all right, now let's break down next story of the day. Last month, cultural critic Allison P. Davis published the article In the Cut, titled A Vibe Shift is Coming. Will any of us survive it? The vibe shift Davis was referring to had nothing to do with crypto. She was referring to a sea change in pop culture and social trends, particularly in view of Generation Z's ongoing ascendance into trend setting and cultural relevance. As you can clearly see here, Bitcoin community engagement by age, you can see the majority is between 25 and 34 years old. Now let's discuss the cryptonomics of war. A few interesting things happened in the initial days of the Russian invasion. The Ukrainian government requested donations in Bitcoin, then called for crypto exchanges to freeze Russian accounts. Turning crypto into a safe financial haven and reliable store of value for a country at war was a game changer, the effects of which we'll feel for years. Now, many of the exchanges refused, claiming it would unjustifiably punish ordinary Russian citizens for the actions of their leaders. Some of the biggest names in this space seem to come down on the side of neutrality, but not without qualification. Vitalik Buterin tweeted notably, vaguely about crypto's neutrality, as he shares here. Reminder, Ethereum is neutral, but I am not. And then Justin Sun, Tron founder, responded, hi Vitalik, Ukraine VP has posted Ukraine's Bitcoin, ETH, and Tron addresses for donations. Why not join hands to rally support for the Ukraine relief? Happy to match your donations. Let's do it together. And at the time of this recording, they have now raised over $100 million in Bitcoin for Ukraine. And the author points out that he remains confident in the future of crypto and DeFi, but that it's going to be a complicated future. The Canadian trucker convoy and the war in the Ukraine have become unexpected reckonings with no easy answers, and in many cases, some very unsavory ones. So the point of a vibe shift and what comes next is still opaque. We're now just waking up to the power of crypto and the enormous implications of a legitimate, censorship-resistant financial infrastructure. So there you have it. And before I break down next way of the day, Max Keiser and Mexican billionaire visit El Salvador Bitcoin Mine with helicopter. But first, let's take a quick look at the overall crypto market cap, still sitting above that $2 trillion milestone with $80 billion in volume in the past 24 hours. The current Bitcoin dominance is 42.2%, with the Ether dominance at 18.7%. And checking out the top gainers within the top 100 in the past 24 hours, we have CVX up 13%, trading at $26.83, followed by Thorchain up 12.6%, trading at $10.16. And checking out the top 100 cryptocurrency gainers for the week, you can see a sea of green, which I love to see. And checking out one of my favorite indicators is the Crypto Greed and Fear Index. Shows we're currently rated a 51 out of 100, which is neutral. Yesterday a 47, last week a 28, and last month a 23 in extreme fear. And if you're not familiar with the Crypto Greed and Fear Index, extreme fear can be a sign investors are too worried. That can be a great buying opportunity, aka BTFD, buy that freaking dip. And when investors are getting too greedy, that means the market is due for a correction. But all right, now let's break down our next story of the day. A new delegation of influential Bitcoin maximalists have just arrived in El Salvador to dine with the president and visit the volcano Bitcoin Mine. Max Keiser, 2010 class OG, has made a trip to El Salvador, and his wife Stacy Herbert shared in a private Telegram chat the night before. The two were invited to dinner, not with anyone though. The dinner was hosted by nobody less than the president himself, Nayib Bukele. And on March 24th at 10 p.m., Herbert then shared one snapshot from the dinner, which is it right here. You can see dinner time with the president. And what makes it even more interesting, they invited the third richest man in Mexico, Ricardo Salinas, to join them. Now, why was he joining the dinner? Does he have big plans to join the Central American Bitcoin Alliance to push Mexico to make Bitcoin a legal tender? Very good question. Mexico is a huge country, which we all know, with a bustling economy with annually of 2.6 trillion in GDP. And next up in the series of mysteries is Samson Mow, who is currently running for mayor of Bitcoin City and formerly employed by Blockstream and one of the masterminds behind these volcano bonds. He shared an actual photo with actual Bitcoin people, a selfie with Ricardo Salinas and himself in a helicopter. And of course, Bitcoin billionaires don't take a horse anymore. They fly wherever they like. This trip was supposedly headed to La Geo, the so-called volcano mine. La Geo is a public-private partnership that became famous last year as it was announced that geothermal energy plant would be used to power a Bitcoin mine installed on the premise. And as you can see here in this photo, heading to La Geo with Uncle Ricky, Ricardo Salinas, to see the volcano Bitcoin mine. And they also shared this aerial, a view above El Salvador's volcano Bitcoin mining operation. Pretty sweet, eh? And Ricardo Salinas retweeted and shared, we continue to work in El Salvador because if we don't look for him, no one is going to come get us out of where we are. I'm 66 years old, 12.9 billion USD, they say. And every day I wake up to work as if I didn't have a peso. So let's go. And many other photos were shared on crypto Twitter. I'm just going to scroll through so you can see. We also have Max Keiser along with Ricardo Salinas, as I like to point out right here, quoting Max, during our flight, Ricardo Salinas outlined dozens of ways El Salvador's new Bitcoin security laws, working through the assembly now, can be used to make a global financial hub and dramatically expand GDP. His facility with business and finance is incredible. Hashtag awestruck. And Ricardo Salinas also tweeted, "Thank you very much for such a kind welcome. It is a pleasure for me to visit your country and continue learning about the use of Bitcoin as legal currency. First and foremost, freedom." And he attached these pictures, and they even had the Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao join that circle. Wouldn't you like to be a fly on that wall? But all right, now let's break down our final story of the day. Strong inflows into the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF, BITO, in the past 2 weeks pushed its Bitcoin exposure to a new record high. Let's go. The fund, which uses futures contracts to gain exposure to Bitcoin's price movements, had a record 28,450 BTC under its management, worth approximately $1.27 billion at the current price as of March 24th, compared to nearly 26,000 BTC just a month before, according to official data from ProShares. Now, interestingly, the inflows appeared in the days leading up to the rollover of BITO's 3,846 March futures contracts and the week ending March 25th. To recap, a rollover involves traders moving their futures contracts as their expiry nears a longer dated contract, so to maintain the same position. Now, BITO's rolling periods typically follows up with an increase in Bitcoin net outflows, noted Arcane Research in its latest report, while citing the last rolling period due to the market uncertainty caused by the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And on March 21st, it also witnessed an inflow of 225 BTC to its coffers, just as BITO rolled its 437 March contracts to April. That prompted Arcane to see growing institutional demand for the fund, in which they quoted in their report, "The strong inflows to BITO suggest that Bitcoin appetite through traditional investment vehicles is increasing." BITO witnessed consistent net inflows for the remainder of the week, according to further data provided by Glassnode Analytics. Now let's discuss Bitcoin to $50,000. In April, the inflows to the ProShares Bitcoin ETF increase coincided with a rally in the spot Bitcoin market on March 25th. That's right, on March 25th, Bitcoin climbed another 2.5%, tackling $45,000, its highest level in over 2 weeks. And quoting the co-founder of crypto wallet service MinePlex, he noted that Bitcoin's price could jump to $50,000 next. As he shares here, the growth seen in the ProShares Bitcoin ETF to a new all-time high of 28,000 BTC is proof that the clamor for a Bitcoin-linked ETF product is backed by an active demand. These positive price trend activities have impacted Bitcoin thus far, and a sustained accumulation or investment from both retail and institutional investors is poised to push the coin to form strong support above $50,000 towards mid-April. Send it. How many of you would like to see a $50,000 price in the weeks ahead? Let me know in the comments below. Now, interestingly, institutions have been picking ProShares Bitcoin ETF over its rival, the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, a fund that has been trading at a 25% discount to spot BTC. Now, the issue with picking Grayscale over BITO is that its discount continues to grow, which means that investors would remain at the risk of underperforming spot Bitcoin at a much higher rate than the risk with BITO, which trades around 2% lower than the current Bitcoin prices. Nonetheless, there is still a slim chance of Grayscale emerging as a winner, namely Grayscale Investments, the New York-based investment firm back in the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, has expressed interest in converting the trust fund into a spot Bitcoin-backed ETF. And if that happens, then Grayscale's 25% discount should return to zero. Buying BITO shares guarantees you will underperform Bitcoin, said Ryan Wilday, a veteran financial analyst, in the analysis published in February, adding the following: "And buying Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shares likely results in similar or worse underperformance compared to BITO, with a very slim chance of outsized performance in the event Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is turned into a spot ETF." Now, what's interesting is that the SEC has never yet approved a spot Bitcoin ETF application in the United States, believing Bitcoin is vulnerable to price manipulation, which we know is nothing more than FUD, because they already have a futures-backed Bitcoin ETF, which is susceptible to manipulation. So it is what it is. Now, for the top 3 comments from yesterday's episode, B Styles wrote, "JV, great show as always. $100,000, send it and send it and send it. Let's freaking go. Thanks for all you do for the crypto fam. Your energy and positivity gets us through the tough times. $100,000 Bitcoin, it's time. Let's freaking go." And our next featured comment comes from Inner Dino, who wrote, "Smashed it. Thanks, JV. I love the show. Everything's coming up roses for Bitcoin. Let's freaking go. Much love, fam. You got it." Hodl. And our third and final featured comment comes from eCoin. Aloha Friday JV. Glad the weekend is finally here. Winding down with some beers and chillin'. Terra Luna, can you say? Scooparellas. Happy weekend, fam, and happy hodling. Let's get it. Hodl. And to be featured on tomorrow's episode, drop me a comment right down below.